Ever wondered how users can manage their own hotels inside a booking app? That's exactly what we are building today. Assalamualaikum everyone, I'm Iman. Welcome back to our MERN booking app series. In this episode, part 11 of our UI UX journey, we'll create the My Hotels page. This page will showcase all the hotels a user has added once they are logged in. From here, they can view, update and manage their hotels with ease. We have already built the Add Hotel form in a previous video, so now we'll focus on displaying those hotels. Each hotel card will include the name, description and facilities all neatly aligned, plus a button to view details or make changes. To make the experience smooth and modern, we'll add scale transition on hover, button opacity effect for a polished feel, and we'll use dummy data for now. Later, real user-created hotels will appear here once the backend is ready. And of course, we'll wrap up by pushing our code to GitHub. The best part? This page, like the rest of our site, will be fully responsive across devices. So stick around till the end. By the time we are done, you'll have a clean, interactive My Hotels page ready to go. Alright, let's dive in. Back in Visual Studio Code, inside Pages folder, create a new file called myhotels.tsx. And inside, let's create a function called myhotels, which will be an arrow function, and inside return statement, create a div, and inside h2 heading, add a text called My Hotels. Now let's default export it. Export default My Hotels. Save it, and let's add its route to app.jsx. So after add hotel route, let's create a route for My Hotels. Its path will be /myhotels. And inside element attribute, we will have a layout component that will be visible in every page of our website. If we go inside, it's basically navbar, hero, search bar and footer. And in here we have rendered children. So inside layout we will nest My Hotels. Okay, let's save it and open up our terminal. You can go to the booking folder by command cd booking and run npm run dev to start a local development server. If we press Ctrl and click on this link, here is our website. It's not here. If we go to the console, My Hotels is not defined at app. Let's go in here, and at the top of the file, we will import My Hotels from /pages/myhotels. Let's save it. So here is our website. Let's go to the My Hotels page. As you can see, we have our heading in here. Now let's start by creating Add Hotel button, and we can wrap both heading and button in a parent container and align them so that they can be in one row. So inside parent div, we will create a span, and inside we will have this heading and a link to Add Hotel page, and we'll call it Add Hotel. Let's import our link. So at the top of the file, import link from React Router DOM. Let's save it, and if we go to the browser, here we have our heading and link. After the span, we will create a div that will contain the hotels created by user. For now, we will use dummy data from test/hotel.json file. There are way too many hotels in our dummy data file. So for example, before the return statement, we will use slice method to slice first 3 hotels and assign them to a variable called hotel data. It's hotels. Now let's import it. We will import it from @config/hotel options config.ts file. Now let's make a use of it. So inside curly braces, because we will use JavaScript logic, hotel data, add optional chaining operator and use map method. It means only call map method if hotel data is defined, not null or undefined. Otherwise, just return undefined instead of throwing an error. Without this, if hotel data is null or undefined, you get a runtime error like cannot read properties of undefined. Now you may ask when it's useful. If hotel data comes from an API and isn't loaded yet, it might be undefined during the first render. Sometimes you don't know if the data exists, so you guard against crashes. It prevents your app from breaking when data is missing. If hotel data is undefined, the whole expression evaluates to undefined. React just renders nothing instead of crashing. So the reason is defensive programming. The question mark ensures your code doesn't blow up when hotel data isn't available yet. Map method is used for transforming elements within an array. It creates a new array by calling a provided callback function on every element in the original array. Importantly, map method does not modify the original array, and for each hotel, we will display this div. Let's also have index of the array and assign it as a key to this div. In React, when you render a list with map method, each child element needs a unique key prop. The key helps React identify which items have changed, been added or removed between renders. Without a key, React can't reliably track items, and you'll see warnings like each child in a list should have a unique key prop. But if the list changes, so items have been added, removed or reordered, using the index can cause bugs. This works fine for static lists, so data that doesn't change order or get updated often, which is our case. We are using static dummy data, but it's not ideal for dynamic lists. When we will build the backend part, we will use hotel ID as the key. For production quality code, always prefer a unique ID from your data. Now inside this div, we will have h2 heading, and in curly braces, we will display hotel.name. We are getting an error. Property name does not exist on type string. We were not getting this error before because we were not using TypeScript. But now since we are using it, we have this error. What it means is TypeScript or a TS-aware bundler like Next.js doesn't allow importing .json files by default. So when we import a file with .json extension, TypeScript complains because it doesn't know how to treat .json files as modules unless you explicitly enable that behavior. It's hotels, not hotels type, and in here also seems like we have misspelled the path, so // data / test-hotel.json like this, and we don't need it like this. To fix this, we need to enable JSON imports in TypeScript config. So open up your tsconfig.json file and add the following option under compiler options and set it to true to enable it, and also set AS module interop to true also. Resolve JSON module lets you import .json files directly. AS module interop ensures compatibility with AS style imports. After changing tsconfig.json, restart your Next.js or React dev server. So the new config is applied. We have enabled these two and start our development server. And if we go to the browser, we have our code working. But if we go back in here, we are having an error. Let's see. Importing a JSON file into an ECMAScript module requires a type JSON import attribute when module is set to node next. In summary, this error means we are in node ASM mode and JSON needs assert. So let's do that. So after this, we will say assert and type to JSON. Let's see what it says. Import assertions have been replaced by import attributes. Use with instead of assert. So let's use with. But I don't want to use assert or with. So to avoid using it, we can use module common.js or keep node next but drop verbatim module syntax. Since we are using Wait plus React, we don't need node next at all. Wait handles module resolution. The simplest fix is to set module to common.js or remove verbatim module syntax. That way we can keep using JSON imports without assert or with. So let's remove it and set it to common.js. Let's save it. Okay, so we have set module to common.js, and inside myhotels.tsx we can remove with and assert import. If we save it, we have an error. Let's see. Option resolve JSON module cannot be specified when module resolution is set to classic. Okay, so we need to add module resolution compiler option set to bundler or node to resolve the conflict with resolve JSON module. So before resolve JSON module, we will set an option module resolution to bundler. Okay, if we save it, our error is gone. And after changing tsconfig.json file, we need to restart our development server. So Ctrl C to close the server and run npm run dev. If we open up our browser, failed to resolve import from test-hotel.json from our hotels file. Does the file exist? Let's go back in our file and let's delete this import and import it again. So we will import our dummy file from data and test/hotel.json file before the link. So we will import it like this, and in here we will say hotel like this, and if we save it, our error is gone. Now let's go back. As you can see, our website is working, and let's go to my hotels page. Okay, now our code is working perfectly fine. All we have added in tsconfig.json file is module resolution to bundler, resolve JSON module to true, and ES module interop to true. And we also set module to ES next. And inside package.json, make sure that your type is module. Now before the return statement after hotel data variable, we will use an if statement to check. If there isn't any hotel, then we will return no hotels found text. First, let's structure our component and then we will style it. After the heading, we will create a div, and inside we will have another div. This div will be helpful when we will style our component, and this div will contain hotel's description. Okay. After that, let's create another div for facilities, and inside we will have a separate div for each facility. So inside curly braces we will say hotel dot, and let's duplicate it 5 times. To do that, press Alt plus Ctrl and down arrow key like this. The first facility will be hotel dot city and comma, and then we will have hotel dot country. For the first facility we will show both of them, and then we will have hotel type and hotel dot price per night. For this we will add a $sign in the front so that it will be like $15 or $200, so it's basically $sign, nothing else. And after the value we will say per night. So for example $200 per night. Okay. And after this we will have hotel dot adult count, and we will say adults like this, and we will also have hotel dot child count like this. Okay. And after child count we will say children. Okay. So for example, here we will have value, so 2 adults, so 4 as a value and then children as a text. So 2 adults and 4 children. Okay. And at the last we will have star rating. Okay. We are having an error. Let's hover. Type object is not assignable to React node. If we go to test-hotel.json file and go to price per night, in here React sees price per night as an object, not a number or string. JSX can't render an object directly, hence we are getting TypeScript error. Type object is not assignable to type React node. To fix this, what we will do is simply remove this object and also string. Let's do that. And same for star rating, so wherever we are using numbers, we will remove the object. So we will remove it and also string like this. Now we will have plain number value. The reason we have removed strings so that we can do calculations with plain numbers. Okay. We will do the same for adult and child count like this. Okay. And where else? Let's see. Yes, so we have assigned plain numbers instead of objects for adult count, child count, price per night and star rating. I have done the same wherever we were using price per night, adult and child count, and also for star rating. At the end of the video, we will push our code to GitHub, where you can access updated code and paste it in your file, so that you don't have to waste your time changing these properties in every hotel. Let's save it. And if we go back, our errors are gone. Now as you can see, we have all the information needed. Now beside these facilities, we also have to add icons to them that we will use from React Icons package. To be able to use them, you first need to install them, which we had already done. So inside the first facility div, before the text, we will have an icon called bsmap. And for this type, before the facility text, we will have an icon called bsbuilding like this. And same goes for other facilities. For price per night, we have BI money icon, and for adult and child count, we will have BI hotel icon. And for the star rating, we will use an icon called BI star. Now let's import them from React icons. So at the top of the file, we will import BS map and BS building from React icons/BS, and BI money, BI hotel and BI star from React icons/BI. Okay, so if we save it and refresh our browser, okay, as you can see, we have our icons. Let's also give size to them. To make our life easier, what we can do is press Alt key and click at the end of our icons text, and we can say size to 22 like this. Let's save it. Okay, it's much better now. Now after this div that contains all of our facilities, we will create a span, and inside we will use link. It will be opening and closing link tag. At the top of the file we have imported it, and we need to define where we want this link to redirect us. So in here, this link will direct us to, we will use backtick, and inside we will say /edit-hotel/ and we will use $ and curly braces, and we will use hotel._id called view details. That will direct us to edit hotels page of a particular hotel. We are using backtick because of dynamic URL. So if the user clicked view details button of second hotel, this link will direct the user to that page where they can edit and view that particular hotel. We are passing the hotel ID in the URL so that on the edit hotels page, we can have a functionality that will parses the URL, gets the ID and fetches that hotel. So we are referring to the hotel of which the user wants to see details and be able to edit them. And the reason we are providing _ID instead of simple ID is because that's how the ID is stored in the database document. Now let's save it. Okay, so now we have heading, add hotel button and all the information, hotel name, description, facilities and view details button. If we press it, it will bring us to the home page because we haven't defined the edit hotels page yet, as you can see. And while we are here, let's change home guest section price property. As you can see, it's not in here. So let's go back and open up components folder and go to guestcard.jsx, and in here where we are using price per night, let's remove question mark and number int. Okay, because now we are using plain number for price per night property. If we save it, okay, our price values are here. Okay, now we can go ahead and style our page. For styling, we are using Tailwind CSS for this project. So to style a particular element, we can have class name attribute, and inside we can define classes to style our element. First we will say space on y-axis will be 8. Okay, so these are built-in classes that we can use. If we save it, as you can see, we have a space between the child elements. So this space class will be applied to the span and this div. That's why we have spacing between the heading and button and our information. Now we need to add margin on x-axis. For smaller screen, medium screens and on larger screens it's fine. But on extra larger screens, as you can see, it is not looking good. So what we can do is on extra larger screens, we can add margin on x-axis. So to add styles depending on screen size, we can use breakpoints. So on extra larger breakpoint, we can say margin on x-axis will be 40, like this. As you can see, it's much better now. And for this span, class name flex to make our heading and link in one line. If we save it like this, and we can add justify between to control the distribution of space between flex items along the main axis of a flex container. Its purpose is to place the first flex item at the beginning of the container and the last flex item at the end, while distributing the remaining space equally between the other items. Now for the heading, it's H1 instead of H2, and class name text 3XL to make the text bigger, text black to make its color black, and /90 to reduce its opacity by 90. And on larger screens and above, we will set text to 4XL. As you can see, by default text is 3XL, and on the larger screens and above, text will be 4XL, as you can see. Now after this, font bold applies font weight, making the text bold. It is used to style the text to be heavier. Now for the link, let's say class name font semi-bold applies font weight of 600, making the text semi-bold. It is used to style the text to be heavier than font normal but lighter than font bold. After this, we will say text XL to make the text bigger, like this, and text white to make its color white, and BG-blue to make its color blue, and its shade will be 600. As you can see, after this border, its color will be blue and its shade will be 800. If we save it, as you can see, it has a border of blue 800. Now let's give some padding to it. Padding on x-axis will be 5. Okay, and after this, padding on y-axis will be 2. If we save it, as you can see, on hover, opacity will be 90 to reduce its opacity. Now if we hover, as you can see, its opacity is reduced. Now after this, we will say if the button got disabled, we will apply background of gray for 100. Now let's style this div that contains the map. Now let's style it class name grid so that all of our hotels will be in one line, and grid dash calls dash 1 because at a time we will display one column. So in our example, one hotel. Now in here, if we say calls dash 2 and save it, as you can see, we have two columns. Okay, let's undo it to 1, as you can see. Now in here, let's give gap between our hotels, gap dash 6, like this. Now let's style this div that contains hotel name and description. So in here, class name flex to make the information in one line, as you can see, and flex dash call since we want it in the vertical order. Okay, so flex call, if we save it like this, let's add border. Now let's give some color to it, border slate 300. If we save it, as you can see, now let's apply some shadow. So shadow of MD like this. As you can see, at the bottom of our card, we have some shadow, and also on the right side. Okay, now on hover, we will change its color. So on hover, shadow blue 200. If we save it, now when we hover on it, we have shadow to them, as you can see. Now on hover of our hotel card, we will scale it. By default, its scale is 100, and when we hover on it, we will say scale to be 95. Okay, by default it's 100, and when we hover on it, it's 95. Now as you can see, the transition is not smooth. For that, we will say transition. If we save it, it's smoother now. Rounded LG to make the corners rounded. As you can see, after this we will apply padding of 5. If we save it, as you can see, we have padding on all axes. Now in here, if we say px5, it will apply the padding on the x-axis, and if we say y, it will apply padding on y-axis. So top and bottom. Let's undo it, and after this let's apply some gap of 6 to give some gap between the hotel name and description and the information and view details button, as you can see. Now let's style our heading. So in here, class name, so text 2XL to make the text bigger, and font will be bold. Now let's style this div that contains the description, white space pre-line. To preserve new lines but not spaces, text will be wrapped normally. If we save it, so while giving the description, if we want this text on the second line, it will be preserved, but if we add extra spaces at the end of the line, it will not preserve. Now let's style our description. So class name, and we will say line clamp, for clamping text to a specific number of lines, and we can use a number to truncate multi-line text after a specific number of lines. In our case, it's custom value of 8. If we save it, as you can see, after 8 number of lines, our text is truncated, as you can see. So our lines are hidden, and at the end we have added 3 dots to indicate we have more lines after this. So we have 8 number of lines. Now let's style this div that contains all of our facilities. So class name flex, so that our facilities will be in one line, flex wrap, and text no wrap. So it will wrap the overflowing facilities to next line but not the facility text. Now gap of 2 to give some gap between the facilities. Now let's style this single facility that contains the icon and facility text. So to make our life easier, what we can do is press Alt and click at the end of the text. Now we can style all of the facilities together. So class name border, to give border around our facilities, border dash blue, and its shade will be 400 like this. Rounded SM, so that the corners will be rounded, and padding will be 3. And after this, on larger screens and above, we will say padding of 4. So by default padding will be 3, and on larger screens and above, padding will be 4. After that we will say flex items center, to make the items center like this. If you want to use items center, make sure that you are using flex, and after this we will say background of blue and its shade will be 50. To give background to our facilities, let's change the star rating. We have forgotten to add star rating text. So after hotel.star rating, we will say star rating. Now let's give some space between the icon and the all-inclusive text. To do that, press Alt and click on the icons. And in here, we will say class name, and we will say margin on right will be 1. As you can see, oops, we have forgotten to add the margin in the location, so we will say margin on right will be 1. If we save it like this, now as you can see, our heading and button is not looking nice. So if we go in the link in here, what we will say is we will apply margin on the bottom so that our hotel will go on top. So let me show you what I mean by that. If we say margin on top will be 4, as you can see the margin is applied on the top, and in here if we say margin on bottom of 4, as you can see it hasn't done anything. So what we can do is margin on top will be 4 and before it we will add minus sign. Now if we save it, as you can see our button has gone to the top. It's much better now. So MD4 will apply margin, but if we add minus at the beginning, our margin will be applied on the opposite side. If we say in here 3, okay, it's much better now. So that is it for our hotels section. So on top we have my hotels heading and add hotel button, and after this we have all the information of our hotel, and when we hover on it, its shadow will be blue, as you can see. So we have hotel name, description and facilities and view details button. Now let's style our button. For that, in here class name, flex and justify end to push our button at the end, as you can see. And if you want to apply justify end, make sure that you have added flex. If we remove it, as you can see our justify end property is not working. So while aligning any element, make sure to use flex utility. Now let's style our link. So class name, and in here we will say font semi-bold, text XL to make the text grow by extra large, and after that let's give background of blue and its shade will be 600. Text white to make the text color white, and padding on x-axis, so on the left and right will be 3 and padding on y-axis, so top and bottom will be 2, as you can see. Now after this we will apply border, and border color will be blue 800, and after this we will say rounded SM to make the corners a little rounded, as you can see. Now when we hover on our button, we will apply opacity of 90. If we hover on it, we have forgotten to add a, so opacity 90, as you can see. And when the button is disabled, we will apply background of grey 400. Let's save it. So that is it for our button. Now we have our heading, and we have applied hover effect on the button and also scale transition on the hotel card, as you can see. So we have hotel name, description, different facilities and view details button, and our my hotels page, like all the site, is completely responsive. So by default it will look like this. On medium screens, on larger screens, and on extra larger screens. And as you might have noticed that our facilities will resize based on the screen size, as you can see. Now let's push our code to the GitHub. If we open source control, in here first we will need to stage all changes, creating my hotels page, and if we press on more actions, we will press commit and push. Now it will push our code to the GitHub. So if we go in here, as you can see, creating my hotels page. Now let's go to the GitHub. As you can see, our latest commit is here, creating my hotels page. If we click on it, as you can see, our changes have been made. And that's it. We have successfully built the My Hotels page. Now users can see all the hotels they have created, update them and enjoy a smooth, responsive experience. Remember, right now we are using dummy data since we are focusing on the front end first, but in upcoming videos we'll connect this to our backend. So real user created hotels will show up here. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like this video so you don't miss the next part of this series. We'll keep building this booking app step by step until it's fully functional and you'll have the complete project ready to showcase. So until next time, take care, bye bye.